right. Scientists are racing for the good of all mankind, both of them side by side, so determined, locked in heated battle for the cure that is the prize. But it's so dangerous, but they're determined. Theirs is to win. It will kill them. They're just human with wives and children. Upwards to the vanguard, where the pressure is too high. Under the microscope, hope against hope, forging for the future, but to sacrifice their lives. But it's so dangerous, but they're determined. Theirs is to just humans with wives and children. Just human, it will kill them. They're just human with wives and children.
Ruby and Lee. Hey, shut. Shut.
Sandy Handley, everybody. That's the Contemporary Ensemble. I'd like to tell you guys that we made it. We made it. Only, this week, next week, then we've done another semester, the music industry program. Give yourselves a round of applause for that. We've made it to the last forum. Before we get things off, I'd like to bring Big Dog up to say a few words. Big round of applause for Big Dog himself, John Snyder. Take the grandiose walk across the whole stage. Sure. No, we'll leave it right here because you got to bring that napkin stuff. Thank you. We have it's been a pretty big crew. This is the first semester where we've had a formalized EU with it, and we've had a lot of help from a lot of different people. If you have announcements come up now, I know we have a lot. This is the time for shows, gigs, city release parties, and all sorts of the like. So let's get that started right now. Come up to this side of the stage. We have some people already here, and we'll kick it off. Who's first? Don't be shy.
Hello. I know I mentioned this last time, but I figured if you guys forgot already, I'll do it again. On Friday, December 16th at Bank Street Bar, we'll be throwing the first annual punk rock Christmas show. My band Vapor Rats will be releasing our debut album, which was recorded by Alex Price. I don't know if you were here, but if you are, he recorded it. Sounds awesome. $5 gets you into the show, our CD, a raffle ticket for the gifts underneath the tree, and a goodie bag loaded with stuff from the other bands that are playing, which are the Lollies, Big Fat and Delicious, and the Riffs. We will also have drink specials, cookies, and snacks. Santa Claus will be there with the option to take a picture with him. The whole show will be filmed and photographed and whatnot. So December 16th, Bank Street Bar, $5, 9 o'clock. Nice shirt, Dante. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Pete. This is John. We're with Chinkapin Records, and we're putting on the 3rd annual Christmas party on this Friday, the 9th. This is the poster. You'll be seeing it around. The Christmas party is for charity, so you guys can feel good about yourselves over this Christmas season. We have some of the proceeds going to Toys for Tots in Austin, Texas, and NOAA, which is New Orleans Artists Against Hunger and Homelessness here in New Orleans, and we put out a 13-track compilation album, Christmas album. You guys should check that out. It's on the Chinkapin Records website, and if you come to the show, you'll get a link to that. Everything's for charity, and not to mention the songs are pretty awesome too. So come out. It's going to be awesome. Sun Hotel and Country Club are playing. Once again, Cafe P, December 9th, this Friday. A lot of drink specials. It'll be one rowdy Christmas show. All right, see y'all.
Hello. Tonight, me and Zach Lund are playing, Zach Lund, sorry, I put the mic away, from 8 to 9 at Neutral Grounds. It's free, and we're both going to play a half hour from 8 to 9. I'm going to go, and then he's going to go. I think some other people are playing also, but I'm not too sure. But yeah, that's it. It's free. Did I say that?
Hey y'all, my name's Dominique. This Saturday, following on with a Christmas theme, we're gonna have XXXmas, which is Experimental Christmas Xmas Extravaganza, and it's gonna be with Loyola's very own EAE. Is gonna be performing at the Howlin' Wolfson, and that's gonna start around 9:30. And I'm also gonna be playing a set, and so is High When I. And it's kind of free. We're gonna allow you guys to donate money if you want to, and that'll go towards our EAE T-shirts / High When I. So thanks, please come out.
Hello everybody, my band Something Burning is playing a show at the 12 Bar on December 15th. Come out and celebrate the end of the semester. You can find more information about us and the show at my band's website, somethingburningband.com, and we're also on Facebook, and there is also an event for the show. So come celebrate at the end of the semester. I'm done with finals and everything. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. My name's Simon, Top Billion. We're putting together a Loyola hip-hop cipher for any of the artists in here, any rappers that want to come and be a part of it. We're recording our verses now, and we're going to shoot after all is recorded. I still have Noilib pot sweaters on sale. New music video dropping tomorrow, $1 billion, and that's it.
Thanks, man. So who made it out to the Lyrics to Lyricist show? In the was it cool? I wanted to go. I wasn't able to make it out. Okay, so all right. Alex Camaro was on point. Okay. I was not expecting that very fierce, small but fierce response. I like it. Converting fans. What else there was? There was the Breezy show last weekend. Did anyone make it out to that? Woohoo! What else was there? Cafe P. Naughty Professor. Culture. What was that? It's just like a general ampersand woo in the back there. All right. Ampersand! Every time, that's the general response I get from ampersand. I was going, ampersand! Cool. Well, so we thought for our last forum we'd sort of make it an introspection, as it were, to sound like I'm on the Discovery Channel. No, but we talked to some of our faculty about what they're doing, how their semester went, not how it meant, and what they got in store for next semester, and how they think things are moving in the general industry as a whole. Sort of our parting words, as it were. So now I'd like to bring these guys up. Please welcome Bob Rainey, Billy O'Connell, Sandy Hinderly, and John Rankin. Coming up, guys. Can we get a stool for Roosevelt, please? Is there extra stools? Billy's got to be different. Billy's got to walk in front of the podium. Give us a second to get our mics oriented here, guys. If you have questions for these guys, feel free to tweet it, and we'll have some mics running around pretty soon, so get those wheels turning.
I think it's on. Yeah, here I am. Hello there. Scooby-Dooby-Doo.
Are we good?
Like 4 here. Number 99 over here.
Okay, well let's go. Let's do our mic check with our open questions. Guys, why don't we start just saying something real simple? What do you plan to do over the break for your month time off? Bob, you want to start us off?
Starting with me. Yeah, I usually go to St. Louis for a week and then to Philadelphia. In St. Louis, I play an annual Christmas show at the Lemp Neighborhood
What's your Christmas show like?
Lemp Neighborhood Arts Center. It's a little dumpy place in the Lemp neighborhood that, for some reason, the guy who runs it is my biggest fan in the world. And, so we've been doing it for 9 years straight, playing a solo show on December 23rd. Kind of the antithesis of Christmas carols, which is good, helps you forget those things. Then a lot of family time stuff, and then I'm going to be mixing a ton of things, including probably Mississippi Rail Company, and a few other projects I don't want to mention right now because I'm not quite sure where they're going, but they're pretty interesting. So it's going to be a pretty busy break.
Right on. Sandy, how about yourself?
I'm going to get a nose job. Truly.
For real?
Next week, yeah.
Hey. Round of applause for the new Sandy Hinderly, everyone. Yeah.
Man.
Awesome.
I was going to get it before Thanksgiving, and I couldn't.
I think this nose is cute.
Yeah.
Hey, what's wrong with your nose?
Don't change the little shit.
Don't go changing.
I can't play right now. Sorry.
How about you, Billy?
Going out to San Francisco to do a benefit with Kristen. We're doing a big web redesign. We are beginning the mix of a massive 38-song Throwing Muses record.
Wow.
We are, it's Christmas time.
Wow.
There is Christmas.
Okay.
No, Christmas is going to happen.
Okay.
And
Good to know.
And I have 4 kids, so that's its own activity. And we're going to get a puppy.
Whoa! Yeah! There you go. No straps and puppies. A bunch of surprises at this
No,
forum.
kids no.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's hear it for puppies.
4 kids weren't enough.
No, I know. Yeah, beyond that, it's my time to catch up with all the crap that I haven't done during the semester.
I see. And how about you, Professor John Rankin?
Well, I hope I'm not thinking about Loyola. That's number one. I'm staying in town. I have a Christmas show. Most of you probably know, but I play the columns every Tuesday night.
Right.
And so on the 20th, we have a show. And if anybody's in town, they want to show up, I have a sign-up sheet. Everybody does one holiday song. I've got Ray Moore playing and a bass player. So if you want to come do a holiday song, we do all kinds of music. And it's always a great event. It's a very community-oriented thing. And I'm starting a new CD, so I'll start recording. I've got 2 days booked to do, I don't have them booked right now. I moved them, but to start a singer-songwriter CD.
Right.
Probably about a year in the making, as I'm expecting. That's it.
So there
I already
it is.
have a dog.
Okay, all right, that's already knocked off the list. So why don't we get right to it? What are some of the things you're excited about or least excited about coming up next semester? The changes coming around for your classes or your lives? Anything cool on the horizon we should be thinking about?
Looking at me?
What?
Looks like you're looking right at me.
Well, I'm just curious to know. I mean, what's the state of the program, in your opinion?
Well, I hope to get the finger fixed.
Right. Okay.
Now, for those that don't, I have to keep it up. By the way, I'm not trying to flip you off, but
The nose job doesn't have anything to do with the finger, does it?
Maybe. No, it's hard to not have a finger when you're a jazz pianist, but I hope to start playing the piano again on a serious note. I had a real scare, and it should be fine, but it went through the nail and through the bone and just about went all the way through.
Wow.
Thank you for that.
What's it?
A jigsaw.
Oh.
I knew that, but I wanted him to tell you.
And by the way, we just got a cat. It's keeping me up at night, like you 4 kids.
Yeah. What, me?
I'm just curious to know.
Next semester, I'm teaching Intro to Music Industry Studies again. So any of you fresh people who haven't taken it yet, you'll have me. I'm teaching management and marketing. And as it turns out, I'm not teaching senior seminar, which I thought I was, but I'm not.
Right on.
And I'm excited about all of it. It's all really exciting.
So are you not teaching entrepreneurship next semester? Did you say?
There is no entrepreneurship in the spring. Right. No. But should I talk any more about how excited I am about my classes?
Yes.
Because they're very exciting classes, John.
Wow, I'm excited. Your excitement is contagious.
There's management, and there's marketing, and there's introduction to music industry studies.
I can feel the palpable thrill in the hall.
I'm ecstatic.
So, moving away from our little world here at Loyola, what are some of the things you guys are have your pulse on about changes in our industry as a whole? Are there things you guys would want to share with us? Just sort of pulses you're picking up on, things that you see that you want to share with all of us? I know you guys always seem to have your pulse on you always seem to know what's going on and what your own perspective on how things are changing.
All right.
I know it's a big thing to just drop, I'm sorry.
It's just hard to, trends that we keep talking about continue to evolve, and so to come up with a new way of saying that is sometimes a challenge. I do think I see a small trend sort of against digital media, digital downloads, social media. You know, it's a few sort of groups, record labels, small communities who are kind of going against that trend. I don't know if that's a really long-lasting thing, but it's something that's kind of interesting to see these sort of grassroots, non-digital productions of things. Of course, we've seen the cassette resurgence for a while, but now people are investing more in vinyl again, even at the very low level. And even outside of music production, you're seeing people actually making their own newspapers and stuff like that.
Zines are back.
Yeah, zines and newspaper production. People taking a lot of equipment that's being sort of thrown away like old dinosaurs and making use of that in creative ways. So it's almost like the physical copy is remerging in different forms, which I think is kind of interesting. I don't know how long lasting that will be, but it may be part of the way the sort of future takes hold.
You know, Bob, there's something I wanted to ask you about. At least in our private conversations, you've spoken of the sort of like bands should get plugged into other local artists who are not just music, but being part of a movement of some kind. And I know that's something you've been at least telling me about. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, I mean, this is basically just capitalizing on connections and on the creativity of groups of people instead of just relying on your own small world. People who are doing film have certain creative concerns that can spill over into music. They have certain skills that musicians can utilize and vice versa. They're connected to certain networks that musicians aren't connected to, that you can get connected to as well. Writers have that as well. All sorts of creative communities. In New Orleans, there's a whole food community that's extremely strong and really flexible. So, you know, bringing in people who value their work in the same way that you as a musician or you as someone who represents a musician values that work can only strengthen your base and your opportunities and sort of create an exponential sense of possibilities as to what you can do and what unexpected events can come about.
Right, that's a great point. We talk all the time about knowing where your values are, knowing how to work together with values-aligned people. But it doesn't have to be just other musicians. You can be values-aligned anyone who has your values, who has your sensibilities, you can be in league with. I mean, you can do a pretty great event if you're a singer-songwriter and somebody's great with food. I mean, you can imagine a pretty awesome event.
And if you think about, sorry to interrupt.
That was your thing.
If you think about it, musicians tend to all be going towards the same goal. They are in many ways competing for the same venues and the same adulation and all that stuff, whereas chefs are not. And so the way that you can spread opportunity between these different paradigms can be extremely powerful. And this is actually documented in some sense, not for musicians, but for just job seekers in general, in a book that's now probably about 10 years old. It's called Bowling Alone. And I'm not going to summarize the whole damn thing, but basically, one of the chief discoveries in its studies was that loose social connections provide more opportunities for people than more direct ones. So more direct ones being family or coworkers or something like that. You know, they may be the people you spend the most time around and that you get the most value from. But people that you meet, say, well, the analogy was bowling clubs, but you know, people that you meet at a church or at some sports organization that aren't your closest friends but that you have loose ties to can often open up more opportunities because they're not around you all the time, they're not thinking the same things as you, they have loose intersections that can tie you into things that you hadn't foreseen before.
And to them, and to them, you know, you have a limited picture. To them, you're the music guy they know.
Exactly.
You know, they may not know a lot of music people, but
they're the kind of person who's going to ask you, hey, can you do this? And you're going to say yes, whether you can or not. And you're going to give it a shot, and that may open up a whole vistas of opportunity for you.
And speaking of interdisciplinary, your project is done. It's at the printer, right? Where, I mean, tell us a little bit about this whole thing for those who don't know.
This is a book and album project. I have an ensemble that I've run for for 11 years now. It's an 8-person electroacoustic improvisation ensemble, and it's a mix of highly trained musicians and self-taught musicians. There's people who play things like contrabass, but also there's a theremin player, there's a guy who plays cassette decks. And it's been the same group of people the entire time, and it's sort of run as a really intense workshop. So this release covers about 6 years of our working together, and on top of that, it comes with a book that is a bunch of essays written by different people, both within and outside of the ensemble, kind of about the ensemble, but it's really more about improvisation in general, the ways it can be approached as a discipline, how it ties into other sort of social and political values, and that kind of thing. It also has some different poetry in there, and it's a mix of a lot of different things. So I edited the book, and I wrote for it, and mixed and mastered all the music. So that should be out in a week or two. Just waiting for the printer to send it back. Yeah, I'm kind of, anyone who's done a really long and complex project knows that the last couple weeks are just hell, waiting for it to all just finish and be done with it, and that's pretty much where I am now. This needs to get out there. It's sort of like having a baby, it's just like, oh, come on, just get the hell out of me. So I'm waiting for that. It better happen before Christmas, too.
Congratulations, by the way.
Yeah, thanks.
Lovely child.
Yeah.
You know what I wanted to say, too? I think I see a trend, musically speaking. I see a lot of bands forming in their 20s on retro styles and vintage styles and adopting a look and a sound that's very specific to an era, like maybe a lot of early, or your band.
I was going to say,
your band has that Ray Charles
category.
50 kind of thing. I definitely hear that, but I hear Oh Brother, Where Art Thou kind of spin-offs. And certainly on Frenchman Street, you see a lot of younger bands that have come off the street, like Loose Marbles and the Moonshiners that started with Gordon Howe here. But these bands are younger players without tremendous experience in the background, but with kind of a passion for that sound and using that sound to establish an identity and a look. And I think they're being very successful at it. And I think right now they're taking over Frenchman Street from the older generations of bands. It's a very healthy thing.
Would anyone care to speak on the resurgence of retro music? I wouldn't say really retro, I mean,
whatever.
Americana-esque
roots.
Americana is the label that everybody wants to stick that hasn't really found it,
Old-time music.
Old-timey.
Well, that's one specific thing.
Yeah.
Old-time refers to that, I think, the old brother Where Art Thou style.
Yeah. Is this a new resurgence? Isn't this been going on for?
Well, it's certainly
been going on for about 152 years.
No, I've seen the last 2 or 3 years a lot more interest on the club and on the booking level, and also locally. Absolutely, younger coming in. Usually that's people starting in their 30s and stuff. I'm talking about in their 20s and teens.
I mean, there were bands like the Squirrel Nut Zippers and Andrew Bird's early stuff was all old-timey music and 20s era styles, but yeah, it seems like as Andrew kind of moved away from that, it got a little bit more popular with new bands.
We have a lot of people here who this is going to be their first round through the sort of collegiate final experience, and a lot of people like myself who still pull all-nighters. Is there any advice you guys can give about getting through this part of the year alive?
Prioritize.
It's too late. You should have made the plans before.
So if you're planning now.
Rankin was just telling me before we came on that he's had several kids come up and they've missed 5, 6, 7 classes, a couple of tests, and what can I do to make it up? You're too late.
Yeah, start thinking about next semester.
Yeah.
That's a good
Absolutely.
How great you're going to be next semester.
Sometimes it does help, when you have more things to do. I mean, for me, stress comes mostly when I have more things than I can deal with or structure. So it helps to write them down and set an order of priorities. If you haven't done that already, write down all the things you need to do and pick one thing to do first and do it. And if you print yourself a little schedule, just take a legal pad or a yellow pad and make a schedule of the things you want to do each day. And you probably won't get them all done, but at least you'll know, you have a structure You'll know what's important. It really helps to do that. And you can find, when I do that, I usually do the worst thing first, because once that's over with, I feel a lot better.
And I think you can also, I just read an interview in Tape Op of Brian Eno recently, and he talked extensively about cell phones and the multitasking problems that occur with it. And he even said if somebody's in a studio, he's hired, and he answers his cell phone in the studio, he'll fire him right then. You're losing the focus of what your task is at hand, especially when you're in a studio and you're recording for somebody. Get rid of the cell phones right now, especially in finals. Just get rid of them. Yeah. You don't need them. And it's really a sense of urgency that you try to change your way and not have a dependency on cell phones. Excuse me for a second.
Yeah. Instant rim shot. I was going to say something very similar. I think that the multitasking tends to slow people down a lot. Trying to do too many things at the same time, having too many things that are warning you that you've got some stupid message that you don't need to see, completely destroys your focus. It makes you spend 4 times as long doing something half as well than if you just took a little time, had a little silence, and did what you needed to do.
And follow John Rankin's list. Just do one thing right then and avoid.
Last week's entrepreneurship class was closing open loops, getting things done. You know, the GTD methodology. You know, the offloading the open items on your list and making a list of the things you need to do, and then a concrete next step next to them. Doing all the things you can do in 2 minutes or less when they occur to you.
That was that book you recommended, I ordered. What was that? On organization, getting organized?
I didn't get it.
You mentioned the book at Forum, yeah.
Oh.
I forgot the name of it, but I ordered it off of Amazon, and that's one of the things they said.
Yeah.
That when you approach cleaning your desk, when mine's a mess, to take 2 days, count on 2 days, and if you can do something in 2 minutes, do it then, and don't put it off. And that's a great rule. And in graduate school, the advice I got was to put down no more than 6 or 7 things on a daily task. And some of them might be really easy and some might be really hard. But if you get, you might have a big master list, but on a daily list, you need less things, because if you have too much, you just don't know where to start.
I have a crazy schedule, and for some reason I get really tense when I have a long list of things to do, and I get kind of bound up with it. And I often find that you start with something completely foreign from the list of to-dos. I start by washing the dishes or by making the bed, and it's uncanny that accomplishing one mundane thing will often get you rolling and get you off your
doofus.
Off your doofus. It gets you out of that inertia.
The inertia.
It gets you out. It gets you out of that sort of doing nothing state that you're in, and it's incredibly helpful.
You know what I do for practicing? I will practice until I tell myself I have to practice until I learn something new, or I'm doing something better, or I've improved in some way. And usually when you get to that point, you're excited about it. You're already in the rhythm of it, so it's very easy to keep going.
I'll just add one thing to all this. I mean, my method of working tends to be in intense manic bursts, and I never keep a schedule. I don't have a calendar. I don't have a book that I write stuff down, and I never have. And that's probably not great advice for you, but that's just the way I've always worked. Nonetheless, when I have made a schedule, one of the most important things for me in the schedule was scheduling stuff like when to respond to emails, so that I don't do it any other time than when it's scheduled. So, if you need to check Facebook, if you need to check your text messages, if you need to check your emails, schedule that for a given time, and then you won't have to do it during all those other times. I found that to be incredibly liberating when things got way too intense.
Hillary over here has some microphones, and if you have any questions for us, go ahead and raise your hand now, and we'll go ahead and take them. Not all at once, guys. We got a couple over here. If you can see that.
Go ahead.
It's for the web. I'm sorry, PJ. The webcast. Strict orders.
What's your opinion on selling out?
Turn the mic on.
Test, check. It doesn't seem to be working. Hello?
Hold on. Amy here is on it.
Check.
There you are.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Amy.
Anyway, what are your opinions on selling out versus making money? Because I think a lot of bands, either starting out or just in general, like they have sort of fear of putting their music in the wrong place, but it's also important to be able to make money to support yourself. So what's your opinion?
You should be so lucky to have the opportunity to sell out. You won't have that opportunity. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, how can you even sell out now?
Just, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, even known artists, they're not really in a position to sell out. There just are so few of those kinds of opportunities out there right now. I mean, if you're talking about being categorically opposed to syncing your music to films and that's a sellout, I mean, define sellout before, you'd have to define sellout for me. But, if you're running your career from a values-based position, then you know what's selling out intuitively in your gut. You know that, licensing your music to a Mountain Dew commercial, good or bad, depending on your values, who's to say?
That's kind of what I mean. Like, a commercial is a good example of like putting your music on, an advertisement or something. I mean, I'm thinking of a specific interview with a band where they turned down like $200,000 because they didn't want to put their song on a commercial, and they regretted it later. So,
well, I mean, if you ask me, that decision has to be made from a place of knowing your own values. If you know that being on a malt liquor commercial is wrong, but selling a truck is okay, for you, then it's okay for you. If selling a truck offends you because you ride a bike and you don't have a truck because you're so green that revolts you, then that would be wrong for you. But it's really only down to you and your self-identified value set, because that's what's going to determine what your audience thinks of those moves on your part.
I think there's several things. One thing is if you have an audience for it too. I mean, you're talking about a specific example, but some things I think we approach from a mythology of what it means to make it or whatever that is, and selling out. Like Billy's saying, it's a personal thing. There's certain things certain kind of bands that you might call commercial that I play with that I really enjoy playing. I love to play New Orleans music, so that's not a problem for me. Right. But there's other things that I wouldn't do, partly because maybe I can't do them well, and partly because I don't want to be seen or identified with that. But it's not like it's not an emotional decision. It's more of a business decision. It's just how am I branding myself and how do I want people to look at me. But I find a lot of times people will suggest something that I may not want to do, but if I try it once, like a certain job or playing with people, sometimes I find it's actually very comfortable and very nice.
I think coming with the word selling out as well, you evolve as you grow in your music. When I first moved to New Orleans 30 some odd years ago, I played every gig in town. I played Bourbon Street. I'd carry a Fender Rhodes through Bourbon Street in 90-degree temperatures in August.
That's terrible. I'm sorry.
In a tuxedo, and it
uphill both ways.
And you liked it.
Yeah, right.
No
lunch. Every gig, and eventually you've been there, done that, or you start to evolve. I'm doing mostly solo piano now and doing what I want to do, and I don't need to do that. And maybe I felt I needed to do that to make the connections with other people at one time, but.
It's so relative as well. I mean, I have two stories in that regard. One, I worked with Lou Reed for a long time in the 80s, and he told the story of the Velvet Underground recording with Andy Warhol at a time that TV Guide called and asked Andy if he would paint a painting of a pig for $300,000 for the cover of TV Guide, and he said, "Yeah." And the Velvet Underground were roundly offended by that, and they were chastising him. How could you do this? What kind of crazy? That's terrible, man. It's TV Guide. And his answer was, well, first of all, I'm funding everything you do. I'm paying your studio bills. The only thing dumber than TV Guide offering me $300,000 to paint a pig is me not taking it. And and that was certainly a lesson. If it means getting something done, it's for the greater good. Yeah, maybe you want to do it. If it doesn't hurt the brand, if it doesn't hurt you too much. The other thing is that Kristen, the artist that I manage, is used to routinely turn down the Lilith Fair, which was this huge woman-friendly music festival. And it was all women and women's music, and it was and she was offered a really nice slot on that tour, and she turned it down year after year after year, and people would always say, well, why do you what's the deal? Why do you turn down the Lilith Fair? And she her answer was that's to me that's selling out. To me that's me going back on my values, because if women want to be treated equally, then they shouldn't voluntarily segregate themselves. She doesn't play girls' rock camps. She doesn't play those things either, for the same reason. She said, I would love to have there be a rock camp for kids, but a girls' rock camp, my kids can't go. And if we want to be treated as people, as women, let's consider ourselves people. Let's not voluntarily call ourselves women either. So, two very different examples of what it might mean to sell out in various contexts, but both of them completely flexible and dependent on the personal circumstances.
And just to add one thing, I think what you really want to do is get yourself in a position where you can decide, do I want to do this or not? So have a sense of a base and a security and a long-term goal, so that if a huge offer comes along, the question isn't, oh my God, I need this money really bad, or I won't survive, or I won't have any opportunities. The question is, do I really want to partner in this way, and will this present a good opportunity for me and something that I value and all that?
Absolutely.
So if you're really focused on your long-term sustainability, then you'll be able to more easily answer these questions. Is this something that I want to do or not?
I'm sorry.
So, go ahead.
Well, I wanted to add that the people that you may not want to work with this time might be the same person that recommends you for your next job. Mm-hmm. So how you turn it down is very, very important.
Yeah, you got to be gracious. I mean, I'll say from my experience, I turn down a lot of stuff. There's a lot of things I just don't want to be involved in. And there's a lot of things that I really, really don't like in this world. And I don't bring that into the classroom because I feel like that could be poisonous at a certain point. But I turn down a ton of stuff, and my life is structured such that I don't panic. If some opportunity comes along that pays really well, but I don't want to be involved in it, it's not like, oh my God, I have to do this.
You have a true north. You know what's the right answer for you.
Yeah, and it's not like I have a trust fund or something like that, but I have opportunities, and I know my budget, and I know my means, and I don't have debt and all that sort of stuff. So I can kind of navigate through these opportunities and decide, do I want to do this or not? Not how much is it worth to me to do something I don't want to do, but do I want to do it?
And forgive me for talking so much about this, but this is kind of what I teach in my classes, which is knowing where your values are. If you don't have a value, a core, a mission, a vision, and values, then you can't make good decisions. You don't know what the hell's right and wrong. You won't know what's going to be tolerated by your fans, or what will make you look like an ass. But you will know if you know where your values are, if you know what's important to you, if you know where it matters. You'll be able to do that. And while we're on the subject, for those of you who watch American Horror Story, Throwing Muses has a song on it this Wednesday. So,
woohoo!
So, does anybody watch that show? I hear it's really creepy.
I think it's terrifying. But
Really? Yeah.
But we have time for about one or two more short questions. Anyone have one they want to ask our faculty?
I've got a question for Billy. But I guess all of you can respond.
What? Sorry, could you introduce yourself? We don't.
I'm Bo.
Hi, Bo. I have a son named Bo.
Yeah. I know you mentioned you worked with Lou Reed, so I wanted to know what your opinion was on the new Lou Reed Metallica album.
That was an embarrassing, to me that was an embarrassment. That was just a terrible...
Sellout?
Sellout. Yeah, absolutely, yeah. I mean, who liked it? Who liked that Lou Reed Metallica record? Lulu. Yeah, I mean, and you've heard it? You like it and you've heard it? Oh, you were kidding? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that it just seemed like such a decision, you know? It was an idea with a capital I. And those, to me, in music are bad. That's my opinion.
I'm almost frightened that it really even wasn't that they really wanted to do it and thought it was an artistic achievement. Because to say it's a sellout, I mean, it's doing horribly. And I think they all knew that going into it, that no one was going to like it.
Or worse, they got into it and then they found out how bad it was and they were all stuck.
I mean, one of the
driving
things
off the cliff.
that annoys me about this project more than the outcome, the music, or whatever. I mean, I'm fine. If somebody does something that's unlistenable, more power to them, especially if they're in a position of being popular. Great, good job. But what bothers me is people like Lou Reed, especially, who, as he goes into old age, continues to try to be the same cool that he was when he was younger. And I find that embarrassing to watch. And it reminds me of something in general that always bugs me artistically, and not just artistically, but specifically artistically. And that's sort of confusing the spirit with the manifestation of the spirit. You know, the spirit, that generative force that makes something happen, that makes exciting and beautiful things occur, is unformed. You know, it's something that you sort of participate in, and as a result of that participation, something great happens, and that's the manifestation of that spirit. Then once that happens, everyone looks at the manifestation and just imitates that thing. And so Lou Reed's in a leather jacket, and he's acting all cool, and he's talking about prostitutes, and you know, it's like that was cool when he was in the Velvet Underground and in the '60s, and now it's just sort of like a dirty old man who's trying to maintain something that isn't quite natural anymore. He's sort of lost. To me, he would probably punch me in the face for saying this. Wouldn't hurt that much because he's kind of weak. But he might think that he's connected to that spirit. But my feeling is that he's just trying to maintain some kind of image, the manifestation of that spirit.
I teach history of American popular music, and there's a theme going through. If somebody's trying to make money before they make their art, it's going to be a failure. And you see that in every generation from the 19th century through to the present. And I was working for radio and television for a long time, and I was making a lot of money making music, 1-4-5-1s in 26 seconds. And I don't watch television. And I loved making these things, but then I started to put the two together, and I said, it's not worth it. And I stopped doing it. And I started teaching at Loyola while I was doing it.
We have a couple more songs from the Contemporary Ensemble coming up after this.
Right.
But I'd like to ask you guys if there's any, if we have time for one more question or not.
By the way, you know, I want to mention that Bob's idea of spirit versus manifestation. There's a really wonderful thinker who died a couple of weeks ago named James Hillman. If any of you are curious at all about ideas dealing with beauty and the manifestation of beauty in art and in our archetypal kind of collective unconscious, he's an incredible writer who writes in a really clear and frank way. His name is James Hillman. Look for his books. The Soul's Code is an amazing book. And if you're concerned with those things and what Bob said excited you at all, you might really love Hillman's writing. So you guys are students, so I thought I'd say that.
Thank you. Cooper, you have a question for us?
Yeah. I know in management and marketing we talk a lot about how New Orleans is like kind of a bubble of, you know, like kind of like a deep pocket of music that's happening within New Orleans, but it doesn't get a lot of like regional or national coverage, especially with like the indie scene, indie rock, if you want to call it that. But this is a young program. So since the start of the program, have any of you guys noticed a difference on a national level, like maybe from friends outside telling you like, oh, I've heard this music coming from New Orleans, we really like it, or if that made sense?
Great question.
I've seen, I mean, certainly the sort of standard myth of New Orleans music is out there. Brass bands and whatnot are very popular through the country. Part of that has to do with Treme, the HBO series, but a lot of that's just post-Katrina love coming through. But as far as indie bands, I mean, I think, interestingly, Bounce I hear about all around now.
Yeah.
But I've heard that for a number of years. But I don't see a lot of people noticing the kind of indie
I think
scene.
the Superfly guys have made a big difference with Galactic and Trombone Shorty. I mean, Trombone Shorty's packing them in everywhere right now. Whatever they're doing right. And part of it, I think, is piercing the veil of New Orleans by being involved in the things they're involved in, being in New York, being in San Francisco, being in Tennessee with the Bonnaroo stuff. And I mean, they're definitely making headway. I'd like to see Galactic do better outside the city. But
New Orleans has always been a band that sends a lot of people out to tour and play live, but doesn't record well. I guess it has something to do with not practicing or tuning up, But
details.
But the spirit is always so amazing, and it's a live thing. It's very much a live experience. And Trombone Shorty is doing the same old thing that people have done. Everybody put up your hand, somebody scream. It's the same thing. But he's doing it well. He's doing it very well. And just speaking locally, not nationally, I do see a lot stronger indie presence in New Orleans since the program has really generated a lot. I see a lot more happening. I think that's a cultural thing, certainly nationwide, but in New Orleans, we have a lot more indie happening than we did before the program was going.
And coming out of this school.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think a lot of the bands I see, I hear about it for them. And so I think we're really having an impact on the New Orleans music community, but the New Orleans image itself is trading on an older image. So they're not going to really tie together immediately, I don't think.
Speaking of music, we have a contemporary ensemble. They're going to play a couple of tunes for you, and then we're going to leave out. Do a New Orleans tune, Sissy Strut, as you guys go out. And I just want to comment that the contemporary ensemble, for those that don't know about it, it's a credit class. The BS students need 2 semesters of ensemble, and this is how you could get that. And the class is open every semester for anybody that wants to come in. And these guys have done a great job. They've been composing. As a group, we've made some great music. You're going to hear a tune by Phil Cork right now, and we basically did a joint. He was the core of it, but we put it together, and this is where the seeds of this stuff come out. It's really exciting to see this music happening from all you guys, great, talented musicians here. So, shall we?
Yep.
Let's move on. Guys, please give a warm welcome applause for our faculty here.
Thank you.
John Rankin, Billy O'Connell, Sandy Hurley, and Bob Rainey.
Guys ready?
We'll get them.
Why don't you get the chairs? Go ahead and get.
There's a civil war inside of me. It's breaking down who I used to be. My heart and mind just can't agree on who exactly I should be. Is it just a hopeless dream that these 2 sides could ever meet? In a place where it would seem that neither side would need retreat. 'Cause in myself, I feel myself dividing in 2. Can you feel it? my coward's tongue that tries to hide, to avoid the taste of true defeat. It joins the ranks on either side. So now my body itself divides into two armies prepared to fight. My arms with my heart and my legs with my mind. I wanna hold on but escape in the night. 'Cause in my cells I feel myself dividing in two. Can you feel it? These veins and nerves, they intertwine. They never connect, no, they never collide. I know which one I feel, and I can't tell you which one is real. 'Cause in my cells I feel myself dividing in two. Can you feel it too? The civil war inside of me has ravaged who I used to be. My heart feels broken, but my mind says free. It seems these two sides still can't agree.
We got one more tune and then
you, John Sutter, and Caven for getting all this stuff happen. They're gonna play one more for you, which is Sissy Strut. So hope you guys enjoy it. Thank you very much.